What's shaking, everybody? My name is Ross Mandell, and welcome to my podcast today. We have a very special treat for all of you. I want to introduce my friend, Mr. Spencer Cook, who is going to share with you a brand new, world-changing, saber-rattling, incredible technological product that will be available for everybody. We predict it's going to change the world. Spencer, how are you today?
Thank you for having me, Ross. Appreciate it.
What a privilege it is. Now, I'm going to tell the audience how we actually met. As most of you know, my story, I was a drug addict, very active, an alcoholic. From the time I was 16 till the time I turned 33, I checked myself into a rehab facility, a very famous place called the Silver Hill Foundation, which is located in New Canaan, Connecticut. And I did a 28-day program, and then against medical advice, I was released. And they felt I was rushing back to the community too fast, but they tried to come up with some sort of an outpatient program. But at the time, it was extremely unorganized. Cell phones were really just starting to come onto the scene. The internet was not existent. Connectivity was de minimis relative to what it is today. And I was released back into New York City, your home and your favorite place in the world. And I ended up making good. Unfortunately, the statistics are typically against somebody going right back into their life. I was a very powerful and dynamic Wall Streeter, and I'm only 28 days clean and sober. Luckily, with the 12-step programs available to me, over 5,000 meetings in New York City alone every single week, I managed to find help and stay clean. However, the statistics are terrible in that regard. And moved down here to Boca Raton in 2000, and I ran into Spencer Cook here a couple of years ago at an AA meeting. So I'm breaking anonymity, but we've agreed prior to this broadcast that it was okay between the two of us. So Spencer is in recovery himself, and we met and we became fast friends and contacts and supportive of helping each other. And then not too long ago, he contacted me to share his thoughts and his accomplishments with me, and I was truly flattered and frankly amazed at what this man has been able to accomplish.
Appreciate it.
Tell us, Spencer, tell us about Sober in 40.
So thank you, Ross. Sober in 40, we're a 40-day substance abuse outpatient program. It's about 45 minutes a day programming. And we are the state-of-the-art. So basically, we use artificial intelligence, our own proprietary algorithms, to create a proprietary custom-tailored program for each individual who takes the program. So theoretically, no two people can ever take the same program twice.
Wow.
So as you interact with the program and we start to learn who you are, your whole background, learn your shortcomings, the whole program changes and adapts to exactly who you are and what you're struggling with.
So this is like a software program that will be available in an app, that's available in an app.
Exactly.
On somebody's, let's say, cell phone or laptop?
From the comfort of your home, couch, on your time.
And tell us a little bit about what the program offers somebody that's trying to kick his drinking addiction or his weed addiction, et cetera.
So basically, my program is going after all the people in outpatient levels of care. People from like the third to the sixth or seventh inning of the ball game, because, you know, true addiction gets compounded over the years. You don't just wake up one day and you just walk right into an inpatient facility.
Correct.
It takes so many years to screw up your life and get to a point where there's no turning back.
Hitting bottom, we call it. Correct?
Exactly. So we're trying to capture all these people before they hit rock bottom, because it's actually easier to reverse course before you're knees deep and you can't get out.
You know, I've heard the expression, they say, you know, when you get in the elevator, you don't have to go all the way to the basement. You can't get off at the lobby. You're on the first floor. Is that what you,
it's really not a requirement to lose all your money, lose your job, lose your family, lose your kids, lose your home. It's really not a requirement to lose it all before you get help.
Right, but it does happen. It does happen before some people have a high threshold for pain.
And that comes from shame, that comes from guilt, that comes from not wanting to tell people your problems.
Correct.
And you know, you hold it in and you hold it in before you can't hold it in, and you have to tell the world, hey, look, I'm sinking, I need help.
Now, let me ask you, we all know about the AA and NA, the 12-step programs. We all know about checking in. We're being committed. Baker acted even to a detox, to a rehab, to a hospital, to a center. Some people go into jail like that. How does your program differ than the more traditional sort of ways that we all are familiar with regarding, you know, trying to solve the problem of addiction and starting a road to recovery?
So I basically hired 2 top-tier NASA engineers who specialize in neurotechnology, artificial intelligence. I actually have a little background in quantum physics, so I helped in that part. But we developed algorithms that can determine what you're struggling with based on the information you provide us. So when you sit in front of a therapist, the therapist wants you to keep speaking. So what they do is they create this thing. It's almost like what they learn in schools. It's called a psychological profiling. So as you speak to a therapist, this therapist is creating a psychological profile on you, so then they can figure out ways to treat you and manipulate you upstairs.
Interesting.
So as you interact with my program, we're creating a psychological profiling on you, just without the human bias. So based on how you communicate with us, based on your keywords, your insinuations,
wow,
everything. We have so many factors. We have like terabytes worth of combinations of factors based on how quick you type, how quick you come back, delete this, that, terms, everything, tone, everything. We figure out what you're struggling with. So once you answer our questions through our micro-chapter videos, they're very short micro-chapter videos. Once you answer these beta questions, you're going to naturally trigger these red flags in my algorithm, which is we want you to trigger red flags. It means that you're struggling with something.
Correct.
So once you trigger these red flags, the system the real secret sauce in the program is in the delivery of the follow-up, second and third follow-up questions in our program. So we're constantly peeling that onion within yourself of what you're struggling with. You know, when you go to the doctor or you go to the ER and you tell the doctor, I think I broke my left arm, they're going to quickly look at your right arm, check the motion,
correct,
compare it to the left arm, but then they're not really looking at the right arm anymore.
Correct.
They're only focusing on what you say hurts.
Correct.
So when we figure out what you're hurting with without you telling us,
correct,
we're then constantly pushing you with these follow-up questions specifically to what you're struggling with.
So my guess is, I mean, this is a complex piece of software. I mean, it's intuitive in a way, and it's been elaborately tested. You've let us know. Prior to the sort of breakthroughs in artificial intelligence, I'm guessing this might not have been possible. Is that?
No,
Right.
it couldn't have been.
So this is very AI-centric.
Everything's about timing.
Timing and opportunity. And my guess is as AI becomes more robust, more mainstream, I mean, my guess is your program will only just get better and better, right?
Yeah. So our long-term goal is to basically take over the whole neurotechnology industry. So for about 5 or 6 years, we want to develop all this data and then leverage this in the neurotechnology industry. Elon Musk is doing it big right now with neural networking.
And Neuralink, right?
Yeah.
That's just...
Yeah. So in the future, what we're going to do is our clients are going to wear censored headbands.
Not today, but this is sometime down the road.
Yeah, we're going to be leveraging what we learn in the next 5 years in our program.
I love it.
So in about 5 to 6 years from now, you'll be taking my program on the app just wearing a headband. And these neural network sensors are going to be understanding your brain waves. We have tons of data of all these different combinations of brain waves related to addiction. So you can be in our app on day 14 talking about something that happened in the 5th grade with something with a family member. And you subconsciously are not knowing the brain waves you're bringing to us. And we will be able to cross-collateralize those brain waves that are appearing to have something to do with your addiction, compulsive issues, right? And then our system will be able to determine that this is linked to this. Now let's redefine the questions to that.
Wow.
In every industry, science
Wow.
is taking the place. In every industry, science advances that industry. So we can't fear science. We have to embrace it and use it the right way.
You know, they used to call it science fiction. And then somewhere along the line, fiction became dropped. And I'll tell you my story quickly. When I was a little tyke, about 7 years old, 1964, my dad came home, and I was 7, my younger brother was 4. And my dad told us about something called the World's Fair. It was in New York, over by where Shea Stadium, now Met Stadium, MetLife Stadium, whatever it's called, Citi Field now,
Yeah.
where the New York Mets play. You know, they had this elaborate fair, and millions and millions, tens of millions of people from all over the world came in to New York and went to this World's Fair. And at this place, they showed things like color TV and little robots and very cool-looking cars that today we call Ferrari and Lamborghini, and all kinds of interesting sort of futuristic things that today are all in a museum because they've all happened already, and now we're moving past it. We're moving with flying cars now and jetpacks and all kinds of stuff. So what you're talking about is neurotechnology.
Yeah.
Which I know Musk is working on. I know you had some relationship with Musk at one point. And I find this to be fascinating as a sober guy. You know, sometimes I'm busy and I just can't carve out the hour and a half, 2 hours it would take me to locate a meeting, you know, a 12-step meeting where I feel like I need a little recovery for an hour just to get out of myself, to get out of my own head, to get out of the sort of the rat race that I find myself in from time to time. And I just can't find a meeting because I might be out of town, on the road, at a meeting in another city, and then to go and pull out that hour of day. Now, if I had something on my phone, an app, so to speak, where I can sort of sign in and get offered the same type of sobriety that I would get from a meeting, is it something that could be used eventually, if not right now, like that?
Yeah, so look, I'm not here to take the place of any 12-step program. I love AA. It's my world.
I get that.
My program is very technologically advanced. It's not a replacement of AA. It doesn't have AA language. You don't go through my program and say, hey, look, this guy developed this from AA. I can feel it. I can taste it. It's fresh. It's original. It's based around 3 huge pillars of 7 positive attitudes, 7 negative attitudes, 7 criminal attitudes, a lot of emotional intelligence, a lot of criminal mentality stuff. There's a lot of criminal activity that we commit as addicts that we don't even consider it criminal.
Correct.
There's so many people's lives we put in danger.
Oh,
we're so selfish.
I think I read somewhere, and we discussed it at breakfast earlier today, like 85% of people that go to jail and prison in this country are fighting some sort of addiction or alcoholism problem. And I believe that. And
in the federal prison system last year, only 14,000 inmates got drug treatment.
Wow. 14,000
That's
out
it.
of, what, 200,000 people maybe?
Yes. That's just in the feds. In the state, there's about 2.2 million.
Correct. Wow. And it seems to me, this would be a perfect product for people in prison, in jail, people that are hospitalized.
Well, we are in deep negotiations right now with about 80 prisons.
Can you tell us more about the business side? I mean, without me
This
prying.
is something huge we're doing right now. We're in very deep negotiations with a company who owns about 80 prisons that are operating them on behalf of the government. And they want to bring Sober and 40 into the prison system on tablets for the inmates because it's a more viable source of treatment.
Well, it's certainly convenient. I mean, right on a tablet, a smartphone, right? You can access this incredible program thanks to your good work, thanks to advancement in technology and artificial intelligence. And these are really critical buzzwords, and they work great in this podcast. But in the real world, I mean, AI is here. AI is not going backwards. I'll never forget, I saw this amazing thing when people were talking about going forward with AI. Is it a danger? And, a couple hundred years ago, these candle makers didn't decide they're just going to come up with a better candle. Once they created electricity in the light bulb, candles became sort of ancillary, aesthetically pleasing. They're lovely, they smell nice, etc. But we're not going to start walking away from electricity and light bulbs and things of that nature. And it seems to me that AI is involved in so many people ask me, as a Wall Street guy, as somebody that is sort of a semi or quasi-public type person, 67 years old, learned. Tell me about AI. Tell me about how AI is going to affect my job or the job market or what I do, my industry, whether it's trading on Wall Street. I mean, the algorithms are spectacular. Anything that's measured, anytime you're measuring money or data, AI that's it. It's just...
Well, I'll tell you something about AI. If you don't have God in your life, you're going to have fear.
I agree with that.
And if you have fear, you're going to fear that AI is going to be bad.
I understand.
AI needs to be used as a tool.
Correct.
Exactly the way it was intended to be used as.
It's like augments. It augments in addition to, and I think that's the sort of thing
people feared Google in 1992.
I'm still afraid of Google. It's just my personal history, everybody.
I mean, look, people feared the tractor back in the day. The farmers thought the tractor was going to take them out of business.
It was the devil.
The tractor, we needed the tractor to keep up with demand.
I got it.
If we didn't have the tractor, people wouldn't be eating today.
Now, you look at the fentanyl problem. Every time I turn on television, fentanyl this, fentanyl that, somebody's dying from fentanyl, the overdosing, the numbers are crazy, like 1,000 people a day overdosing on this stuff. So Sober in 40, your product, would be very helpful, ultimately, in helping the government sort of get a handle on some of the addiction problems, correct?
Well, when we say the word fentanyl, we're really just talking about the end result. The end result is fentanyl. It's the hard drugs.
Correct.
But you don't just wake up today and say, hey, today I'm going to shoot myself up with some fentanyl.
Why not?
It starts with drinking too much 2 or 3 times a week.
Right.
It starts with bad habits, right? It starts with being bored.
Maybe smoking weed.
Weed.
They say it's a gateway drug, although... it's still very controversial.
It starts with bad habits, bad lifestyle choices.
Bad attitudes.
A bad attitude, a bad
If one
culture.
is good, 2 must be better.
Yeah.
That's what I learned in my recovery.
And then look, you're much more likely to start doing mid hard drugs to hard drugs when you're real drunk. It's easier to say yes when you're drunk.
Correct. I get it.
When
you're under the influence already.
And I'm not here to say everyone needs to be sober. There is a lot of normal people out there in the world who could have a half a glass of wine and put it down like nothing happened. But a lot of our culture just wants more and more and more.
Well, that's the disease of the attitudes.
Yeah.
This sick attitude that somewhere infiltrated my brain, where I had one, and my brain said 2 must be. If one is so good, 2's got to be better.
I was that guy back in the day that if we had a bottle in front of us right now, I'm thinking about the 3rd or 4th one. I'm not even in the present moment with you in that bottle. That bottle's gone.
I respect thinking big.
Yeah.
I get it. But addiction and alcoholism is no joke.
Yeah, people like us we can't have one. It's just, that's how we're wired.
They say that if you don't have any, you can't get drunk.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? People say they have one. Next thing you know, they wake up 3 days later, they're on a bender. That's the disease that we're talking about, referring to. So Sober in 40, that name to me is a very catchy name. I'm very into names, jingles, things of that nature. How did you come up with that name, that idea, 40? I mean, where does that come from? Besides, it sounds really cool.
Yeah. So I developed my program when I hit rock bottom in life.
Wow. Okay.
Actually, I developed it when I was starting to get out of rock bottom, but my rock bottom was federal prison. And
Wow.
I did 7.5 years in federal prison, and I had such an urge to figure out my disease because I had all this experience and knowledge of being a criminal and a drug addict and an alcoholic, but I didn't have the scientific knowledge. And in order to have a full understanding of what's wrong with you, you can't just have the experience. You got to have the experience plus the science. So I started to buy thousands of dollars worth of books written by PhDs, and I started to slowly document what was working for me and what wasn't working for me. And this wasn't for, me thinking one day I'm going to create a program and help the world. I just wanted to help myself.
Okay, that's fair. It's a very honest statement, I think. That's most of us.
You can't help anyone if you don't have yourself together.
Correct. That's correct.
So I was in a very selfish-minded thought process, and I was just documenting things that worked to me, things that I understood in the scientific world of addiction, and I slowly perfected something that was for me my addiction Bible, so to say.
Wow.
And many years later, I started to help other people, and I started to give them little bits and pieces of my work, and what really made me believe that this was real is seeing results in other people. I have a guy in the prison system right now with 2 life sentences, and he changed his whole life around.
Wow.
He had 0. When you have 2 life sentences next to your name, the 2 L's, with no date of ever getting out, you have no reason to change your life.
Well, I understand the idea of hopelessness.
Yeah.
If you feel like you're never going to see the daylight again. I get that.
So I'm one of these types of guys that I need to see it to believe it, and then even when I see it, I'm questioning it. What I'm seeing, is this real? So I'm one of those guys that every time I would put someone into this program and give them some of these principles that I've applied, I just kept seeing positive results, and I'm like, you know what, this is maybe what I need to start bringing to the world.
You're like a dubious, jaded cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now you're convinced. I will say this, we had breakfast before this podcast, and I had the privilege of meeting Spencer again after not seeing him for quite a long time, and he showed me his app. Is it called an app?
Yeah, it's an app. It's downloadable on the App Store.
Oh, so it's going to be offered in all the different, like the Apple Store and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah? So he showed me, and I got to watch, I guess, the modules or 1 or 2.
The micro videos.
Yeah, the micro videos, and I have to say, first class. And I get it. And if there's any way that Ross Mandell could eventually become a part of this, I would treasure that opportunity because this is the real thing. And this young man, in my mind, after what I've seen after this discussion, etc., this is going to be a world-changing event. I once did a video about 15 years ago, and I was being interviewed. And somebody said to me, Ross, you've been on Wall Street your whole life, the forefront of the financial world. What is the most impressive technology that you've seen in your life, in your experience, sort of come across your desk? And I was thinking about, vaccinations like for polio, and thinking about, the car, the automobile, the combustion engine. I'm thinking about the internet, cellular, all these different things. And then, it came to me, I had like a moment of clarity. The most impressive technology of the 20th century that I believe occurred was Alcoholics Anonymous. It was a book written by a New York stockbroker and a physician from Akron, Ohio, published in 1935, called Alcoholics Anonymous. And for the first time in the history of mankind's civilization, over 5,000 years, there was actually a solution to the town drunk, to the addict. It's not a cure, but it's a daily solution. And to me, there's over 10 million active members of the 12-step programs, over 10 million worldwide. And if not for that program, these programs, you might have 10 million dead people and 10 million families missing a parent, a son, a husband, a wife, a cousin, etc. So to me, the thing that you're embarking on right now, this mission, Sober in 40, this life-changing, life-saving, world-changing app. I mean, what do they say in the Talmud, in Scripture? If you save one life, it's as if you saved the entire world. And that's what you're doing.
Because there's life and there's the world in each person.
I agree. See, I get that.
And ironically, if you fix and help one addict, you're really just not helping that addict. You're bringing a whole family together.
It's got a multiplier effect.
It's insane how it works.
So to me, what this young man is introducing to the world, there is no other app, correct?
To my knowledge, no. But I've been so focused on what I'm doing that to be honest with you, I haven't had time to bother to see what other people are doing. I'm just so in my own world of
correct
helping create positive change that I can't look you in the face and tell you I have competitors. I don't even know.
Well, I've done a brief look, and we found nothing that says that nobody's claiming. There's no app. There's no Sober in 40 with another pair of clothes on it. So I want to just say that it's such a privilege to meet you today and to discuss this with you, especially in this forum. I'm personally grateful, and I know some of you are very grateful too. Sober in 40, you can download it on your phone.
Yep.
You can download it on your iPad, on your tablet. You can get it on your laptop, your desktop, etc.
Desktop soon. It's only downloadable on the Apple App Store and Samsung.
At the moment.
Yeah.
And this can change, save your life. You know, there's a lot of people, myself included, this is my story. I knew I had a problem. I had drinking and drugging. I swore it off 1,000 times. And I just kept saying, I'm going to fix this. What we say in the 12-step program is, what part of your sick brain are you going to use to fix your sick brain? And I had a sick brain. And I tried all types of solutions, cures. You know, I stopped drinking bourbon and scotch. I went with gin and vodka. It didn't work, so I managed to get drunk. I stopped drinking alcohol. I just drank beer and wine. I only smoked weed. I stopped doing hallucinogenics. And, I just kept stumbling and falling on my face, etc. Addiction and alcoholism, this is a progressive disease. It just gets worse.
Do you know the story of the American eagle?
Tell me.
So the American eagle is one of the most fierce animals on the planet.
Oh, no question.
But the problem with the American eagle is they live 70 years. But once they hit 40 years, what happens is their feathers get really heavy to the point where they could barely fly.
I got that.
And what happens is their beaks become bent and dull, and their claws become really dull too, and they can't even use their claws. So they're rendered useless. But deep down inside, they know they have so much more life. They got another 30 years to go, but they don't even, they can't go. So deep down inside, the eagle has to make a decision if they're just going to lay down and die, or if they're going to make a change. And most of the time, they choose change.
I love it.
And what they have to do is they have to fly all the way up deep into high elevations into the mountains and hibernate so no one else can prey on them. And what they do is they smash their beaks against the rocks for 200 days until the beak falls off and they can grow a new beak.
Wow, what a great story.
And then with that new beak, what they do is they rip their claws off so they can grow new
claws.
And then when the new claws are grown and repaired, they rip the feathers off so they can grow new feathers.
Wow.
And they go through this crazy, painful change, all because they know that there's more life to them and there's more to experience in this world.
The survival instinct, right?
We have that too.
Brother.
When we know we're going down a bad path, we either just have to make a change, or it's either left or right. It's either I'm going to change my life.
I love it.
Because the old person needs to die, or I'm going to sink.
I love it.
And we share that animalistic that animalistic tendencies with animals. We're animals.
I saw recently on social media a video of Ben Affleck, who talked about pain being the ultimate arbiter of change, and that when he had lost everything that he considered most important to him, his family, his wife, his self-respect, his dignity, his opportunity to star in certain movies, he realized that he had to change. When you have enough loss and you're in enough pain, they say that's a touchstone to allow this change to happen, much like this eagle story.
Yeah.
I'd never heard that.
You know, that eagle for 200 days isn't eating. He's not with his family. He's not in his
Can't hunt,
he's
right?
not in his comfort zone.
I got you.
You know, you have to get out of your comfort zone if you really want to make change.
Pain is an arbiter of change.
It's almost, the pain is the power, and that's part of your story. You know, everyone needs to remember their pain, but not, you know, don't sink in it, don't smother yourself in it, but use it as a tool, just like AI.
I love it. So if we're saying here today, if you're in enough pain, if you're agonizing because you know you drink too much, you drink too often, when you do drink, it causes you trouble. There's a great expression. Every time I drank, I didn't hit a cop. But every time I hit a cop, I was drunk. You know you have a problem. You're smoking weed, pills, etc. You know what? And you're in agony or torment. You don't know what to do. You can't really go public with it yet. You don't want to ask for help, which is the ultimate change. Sober in 40 provides you at least a place to go so you can begin to work on and understand the issues that you might be having, that you know in your heart, you know deep in your mind, you're wrestling with. And that's what I love about this story, about this product, about this guy. Because, you know, to me, he's still a kid. He's 37 years old?
Yeah.
Right around 37? Okay, I got 30 years on him. And, you know, over the course of my life, I've been able to recognize talented young people, men, women, etc. He's a very talented young man. I love this product. I'm a fan, and I will be downloading this right after this meeting. Hopefully I'll get a good deal on it. And I encourage you all to remember the name Spencer Cook, the app Sober in 40, because this is going to be a revolutionary change.
Thank you so much,
in the
Ross.
world of recovery.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful. This is Ross Mandell. You're at the Ross Mandell podcast. It was such a privilege to have you guys today. I look forward to seeing you again and bringing you the most interesting, the most incredible stories that you're going to find anywhere in the media. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My brother.